a committee or a referendum on that. We are working on...
Good job, John and Rachel!
You will be known for this.
It begins, ladies and gentlemen. Christians are arrested in broad daylight in America for gathering together and worshiping. Who could have imagined a day where Christians are being arrested in broad daylight in America for being Christians? Regardless of the reason, regardless of the justification, that is but an illusion. The end product here, Christians being arrested in broad daylight in America for being Christians. You see how they're standing in their nice little social distancing circles? It doesn't matter. You can try and play by their rules. You can try and compromise. You can try and capitulate. It doesn't matter. You're on that red list. You are a target for this system. It's always been this way. It's been this way for thousands of years. Up until a couple hundred years ago, for a little while we had our Christian homeland. Look at us now. The devil has hijacked our nation. It's hijacked our government. It's hijacked our television. Ladies and gentlemen, these people on TV, they're for, of, and by the dark side. They promote what's evil. They promote what's wrong. Doesn't matter who's in charge. It's always the same song and dance. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no denying the evidence. There's no denying what's going on. These people are in it together like a bunch of Charlie Manson groupies plotting your demise. And most of the sheeple out there are just grazing in the pasture, waiting for the slaughterhouse. Moo, cows. Can you see the writing on the wall? Of course you can. The problem isn't being awake. The problem is, what do we do about the situation? Time is running out. We've crossed a threshold here. At first they came for your free speech. Then they came for your right to assemble. And now they're coming after your religion. They're coming after you because of your religion. Nobody could have imagined a day where the Gestapo would be dressed like this in America, arresting Christians for being Christians, regardless of the justification. Nobody could have dreamed up a scenario like this where we could be quasi-normal as long as we're not going to church, as long as we're not gathering together. This is disgusting. This is criminal beyond belief. It screams anti-American, and we're surrounded by these types of people out there that are anti-American. They want to burn our flag, and they want to shut you down for being a Christian. How many of you out there have been silenced or censored online? Raise your hands. I'm pretty sure at this stage, all of you have been victimized by this beast system. How many of you have seen your churches closed or burned to the ground because of these atheists and these cult members, ladies and gentlemen? How many of you have felt the persecution? How many of you have felt the discrimination? There is no class of people more discriminated against right now in America than Christians and conservatives and patriots, and it goes hand in hand. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a lifestyle. And then you got the other side, spirit cooking, groping, molesting little children, putting forth the most disturbing entertainment the world has ever known. The television today is beyond disturbing. It's beyond an abomination. And the politics these days is just part of the illusion. It's never going to get better because it's one big club and we're not in it. And you don't want to be in this club, ladies and gentlemen, because you have to sell your soul to the devil. And there's nothing more precious that you possess. And they want it so bad. They want your soul, ladies and gentlemen. And they start you young. And one of the only places of refuge out there for Christians these days is at church. And they're trying to close them down. They're trying to lock you down, muzzle you with the mask. They don't want you seeing the sunlight. They don't want you in the fresh air. They want you in the darkness, in isolation, in depression. They want to condition you, to distance you away from what you love most. They are trying to condition you like a dog, like a monkey. And they know that if they push the right buttons, many will surrender. Many will submit. Many are called, but few are chosen. And right now, these are the good old days, because dark winter is coming. What's coming is going to be worse than this. And so you better fasten your seatbelts. You better hold on tight, because the situation is going to spiral out of control. And before you know it, these will seem like the good times. These will seem like the good old days when we could go outside without our biochip, without mass surveillance, without track and trace. And of course, the whole situation is just going to usher in even more surveillance. It's what they want. They want everyone under surveillance 24/7, like some kind of guinea pig, like some kind of experiment. And anyone that steps out of line will be reprimanded immediately. Have you seen that pyramid on the back of the dollar bill? Do you know what that represents, ladies and gentlemen? It represents New Babylon. It represents bondage and slavery, ladies and gentlemen. The bondage and slavery that we were freed from in the Old Testament. The Ten Commandments in the book of Exodus begins with being freed from bondage. These are the conditions of your freedom. They're commandments, not suggestions. When you look at society today, it has strayed so far away. And it's very difficult for Christians these days to maintain any type of balance. Constant temptation. Your choices are between bad and worse. The final entrapment. They've got you right where they want you. And the devil always chooses your moment of weakness to attack. Remember that. It doesn't attempt to attack necessarily when you're feeling your most confident, when you're in your prime. It's going to wait for that opportunity of weakness, like the 40 days in the wilderness. After fasting 40 days, Jesus was tempted by the devil. Imagine 40 days of fasting. And yet, here we are, 2,000 years later, and it's still the epic struggle of good versus evil out there. And something should be quite clear to everyone by now. Christians need to be governed by Christians, not by Luciferians, not by devil worshippers, not by pedophiles or witches or sorcerers or Sodom and Gomorrah. Christians should be ruled by Christians in America because that's our legacy. That's our heritage. That's who we are. There's a church in every town. Our founding documents are based on Christianity. It's freedom of religion, not freedom from religion. And the idea of separation of church and state back then was to make sure that there wouldn't be preferential treatment for Catholics over Protestants, over one Christian over another. But these people have twisted everything, flipped everything upside down. Good is evil, evil is good. Freedom is slavery, and slavery is freedom. And this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Trapped in these cities, in these concentration camps where we're being irradiated, gas, sprayed, executed. No escape, ladies and gentlemen. Forced to work, slave away, just to survive. And, 50 years ago, one person could work and feed, an entire household. Now everybody's working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, overtime. And everybody in the house is basically a friendly stranger. The kids are totally adopted, if you will, by the state. The children are the wards of the state, and if you interfere with the programming, here comes the Gestapo. If your child misses 1 day of indoctrination, here comes the Gestapo. Here come the phone calls. How dare you, they say. As they're grooming and molesting your children in schools, teaching them Common Core. They don't even teach math anymore. It's all about sex and race and hatred. It's hardcore evil. It's not Common Core, it's hardcore evil. These institutions have stolen our children from us, turned them into zombies, hunched down, looking at their scrying mirrors, connecting to the beast system. And their values are so warped, they might not even be considered human anymore. And whatever this new norm is, ladies and gentlemen, it's far from normal. Because you're far from free. It's like being in the Matrix. You know that there's something wrong with the world. You can taste it. You can feel it everywhere you go. It's the illusion that's been pulled over your eyes within the city limits. That's been your world since you got here, not knowing really what's beyond the glow of the city lights at night. Beyond the city limits, the outer limits of your local matrix. In any case, if you're just joining us, Christians are being arrested in broad daylight, raided by the Gestapo, And obviously the story is rather interesting. We see what looks like hundreds of worshipers there right outside of City Hall, which is, church versus state. The Christians have shown up and are singing in front of a state house. The epic struggle of good versus evil playing out before our very eyes. And the dark side does not fail to react. Arresting Christians in their own homeland for being Christians. It's an abomination. And this is obviously going to get worse as Dark Winter evolves, but this happened in the town of Moscow, not Russia, but Moscow, Idaho. And out of the hundreds here, 5 people were arrested. Why didn't they arrest everyone? We don't know. Undoubtedly, they wanted this on the radar. They wanted people talking about this. But regardless of the true narrative here, they're trying to send us a message. You Russian-loving Christians in Moscow, America, are going to get it, they say. Have no doubt. But Dark Winter is coming. We give it a 30% chance that it will be a very dark winter indeed. I should say a 70% chance that this will be much, much worse than last winter. And a 30% chance that it'll be much, much better than last winter. In the worst case scenarios, people will not be able to go outside. They will not be able to gather. They will not be able to go to church. But they will be able to buy liquor and weed in Colorado. But not church, ladies and gentlemen. They'll send your kids to school. They don't want those kids missing school no matter what. But everything else will pretty much be locked down. And, the added advantage of schools right now, in the worst case scenario, is that it will propel the virus into every household, into every neighborhood, non-stop, relentlessly. And the best part is that the children, for the most part, are not affected. They'll be chanting, "There is no virus," as the older generations keel over. It's perfect. But these cities will be eradicated. Chances are, these big cities, New York, San Francisco, Chicago, little by little, they're going to empty. And they'll never be the same. And that, my friends, is truly a blessing in disguise. Because these cities were really nothing more than epicenters of evil. Ladies and gentlemen. We do want to address the censorship right now. The only place to really find us is on Facebook. The new page is STFN World News, as well as the BitChute channel, BitChute, and perhaps the backup ScrewTube page for a little while, but the ScrewTube looks like it's going down. We're going to have to replace them, but if you haven't subscribed to our BitChute or our Facebook page, take a few minutes to do that. Otherwise, you're going to miss out on the very best broadcasts on the internet. And please, help us pump up those pages. Go there, like, share, give us some positive reviews. And say some nice things in the comments. Because this community has driven change like no other community on the internet. And we're still out there. We're just not connected anymore. Communications have been attacked by this beast system. So help us reboot. This is what we have to do to hack the matrix. We're very effective. And we'll continue to do what we do, ladies and gentlemen, to get our country back. Because essentially, this is the country that we grew up in. This is the country that we love. When you hear these people singing, this is America.
Raise him above ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost.
This is who we are, ladies and gentlemen. And they're trying to steal it from us. Nobody asked for this war, but war is coming. And, things are much different than they were 2,000 years ago. Now they can collectively throw us all into the oven, ladies and gentlemen, and call it, COVID-19. Regardless of the excuse, regardless of the claims by this beast system, we certainly have the right to gather and worship. And no matter how they spin it, no matter how they try and justify it, what they're doing here is attacking our right to be religious. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an act of war. If you're listening to this, you are the resistance.